If you're a coach, you're constantly fighting this battle, right? Between the pressure to win that comes from the scoreboard and the desire to actually develop the person inside the uniform. Society is screaming for wins, but the real job is something deeper. So, how do you balance both? Let's dive into a framework for winning the game
All
that
right,
truly
let's kick things
matters.
off with a moment that every single one of us, whether you're an athlete, a parent, or a coach, you've been here. You know this moment all too well.
Seriously, think about it for a second. The game just ended. You've walked off the court or the field. You're exhausted, you're processing everything. Someone who wasn't even there walks up to you. What is the very first thing that comes out of their mouth? Yep, it's always the same, isn't it? Did you win? And how'd you do? From the time we're kids, we are conditioned to value the result and our own individual stats. And this shows you exactly what society prioritizes. And it's not always what's best for an athlete's growth. Now check out this quote from Brad Stevens. This is a guy who has reached the absolute pinnacle of coaching. So it makes you wonder, right? Why would a championship-level coach actively, deliberately avoid talking about the one thing that society is completely obsessed with? Well, here's the thing. When you focus only on the final score, you're pouring all your team's energy into something you can't actually control. You can play a flawless game and still lose because of a bad bounce or a tough call. The best coaches, they get this. So they direct their team's focus toward what they can control. Okay, so if focusing on results is playing the wrong game, how do we start playing the right one? It all begins by shifting our entire focus to what truly drives success: character. And there's a great little framework for this. It's called the CPR method, and it completely flips the script. Instead of starting with the result, you start with C for character. That strong character is what drives a consistent P for process, the daily habits, the effort, and that process is what ultimately gets you the desired R for result. See how that works? Character first. Man, I love this analogy from performance psychologist Dr. Jim Lohr. It just makes the whole idea of character feel so tangible. It's not some vague, fluffy, abstract concept. Nope. It's a muscle. And just like any other muscle in your body, you have to build it through intentional, consistent work. You've got to train it. So let's break that down even more. Character isn't just one big thing. It's really two different skill sets. First, you've got performance skills. Think focus, discipline, resilience. That's all about how you manage yourself. And then you have moral skills like respect, integrity, empathy, which is all about how you interact with others. And here's the key. Both are skills. They can be coached, they can be learned. Okay, so character is the foundation. Got it. But you can't build a house with just a foundation, right? You need a blueprint. And that is exactly where the SEPO framework comes in. SEP. It's a super clear formula for building your team's culture right from the ground up. Just think of it like a roadmap that starts with your core principles and then, step by step, leads you to your team's ultimate objectives. And here's how it builds piece by piece. First, you set the standards. These are your non-negotiables, how we operate, period. Those standards then naturally shape the expectations for your team. And with that clarity, it's way easier to define your priorities. And only then, at the very end of all that, do you establish your objectives. The goals are the last step, not the first. And when you set those standards, you create this incredibly powerful tool, a line in the sand. As the coach Urban Meyer calls it, behavior is either above the line, meaning it's acceptable, or it's below the line, unacceptable. For example, being 5 minutes early is above the line. Being exactly on time, that's actually below the line. It just removes all the gray area and makes managing the team culture straightforward. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But I know what you're probably thinking, especially if you're a data-driven coach or athlete. Yeah, exactly. If we're going to focus on character and process, we need a way to track them. How do you measure something that feels so subjective? Otherwise, how do you even know if you're making progress? It feels like guesswork, right? Well, it turns out there's a tool for that. Let me introduce you to Mindset Performance Indicators, or MPIs. This is how you make the intangible tangible. MPIs are a system that allows athletes to quantify their own perceptions about their mindset and its effect on their performance from one game to the next. So here's what that looks like. These are the 6 core pulse ratings that athletes evaluate themselves on. After each game, they give a score, saved from 1 to 7, on everything from their mental readiness to their physical preparation.
And just like that, you turn all those subjective feelings into real objective data. It gives you, as the coach, a real-time pulse on the team's mindset.
So, how do you actually put this in practice? Let's talk about one of the simplest, but maybe one of the most powerful habits any team can build. You know, there's a reason so many people swear by journaling. The simple act of writing things down, it has a huge impact on how we process our emotions and analyze our experiences. And for a team, man, it is the key to unlocking an incredibly powerful feedback loop.
The process is just this simple 3-step loop. Step 1, players write down their analysis right after the game in the locker room. Step 2, the coach reads every single entry and writes a personal response. This step is so crucial. It shows the players you're actually listening. And finally, step 3, all that player feedback directly informs the very next practice and film session.
And the long-term effect of doing this consistently? It's profound. It's not just about getting feedback anymore. It's about creating this deep sense of shared ownership. When your players feel heard, when they feel validated, they become truly invested. It builds a level of trust and connection that can really cement a team together.
So when you start to put all these pieces together, you've got the CPR method, you've got the SEPO framework, you've got these little habits like post-game reflection, it really starts to redefine what it even means to be a coach.
Because at the end of the day, you cannot teach character if you don't embody it yourself. Your players are watching everything you do, especially when things get tough. You are the standard. Your character is on display every single day.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question every coach has to answer for themselves. The beautiful thing is, if you truly focus on building character, the wins, well, they have a funny way of taking care of themselves. You just end up winning the right game.